Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and today I've got Ennis with me. Now, Ennis says that he has a really cool idea for video games. And Ennis, you started explaining a little bit to me about some of the games that you've played and why they were so great. Can you tell us all that?
The two greatest RPGs that I've been playing were Fable 1 and a little bit of Oblivion. Fable was special for me because it had the specialty because the player could choose through the whole game what to do, whether to be good or to be evil. The only thing that I didn't like about Fable is that if you do something bad, for example, if you kill somebody from your own guild, you don't see anything coming back to that later in the game. For example, you have to choose at a tournament whether to kill your classmate that was through the whole game with you or to let her live. Most people choose to let her live, but never see her again in the game. The same way would happen if they choose to kill her. Nobody would tell anything about that later in the game. For my game idea, I was thinking about things that make RPGs special, that game developers try to accomplish with their games. I am constantly watching a show in German television about video games. It's called Game One, and when they were introducing the Star Wars MMORPG, they were talking that the game was trying to leave a stamp on every player that he's something special, but they couldn't reach it.
Okay.
So I was thinking about how to accomplish that. The idea that came through my mind is simple. Players at the beginning of almost every MMORPG choose classes or races, wizard, warrior, or something like that. To give the player a special feeling, we could just take away that choice, based on how the gamer plays the game, how he chooses to spread his experience points on mana, strength, what weapons do he uses. The game could tell him after 20 or 30 levels, okay, now you're a wizard. No choice at the beginning of the game. Everybody starts neutral, but based on how they play the game would tell them, okay, you're a wizard, you're a werewolf, you're a vampire, or something like that.
Right.
That would give to the player a special feeling that he is chosen by the game. And also, I was playing the only MMORPG that I was playing is Gameforge's Cable. I don't think that exists anymore. I think they shut it down.
Yeah, I don't recognize it.
It's something like between Fable and World of Warcraft. In that game, at level 50, players could choose whether to be a Capella or another race, and constantly they are in war, like in World of Warcraft, the Horde, and what I was thinking about is, what if the player could choose more times whether to be in one group or another group? For example, to be for my game, I was thinking about horrors or Ras warriors, and the academy. He could join the academy, but later, after 30, 40, 50 levels, he could choose to betray the academy to go to the other side, or the opposite. So that would have consequences for the game. So that he really feels that he has that the player has influence to the world, whether it's an MMORPG or an normal adventure RPG.
Let me ask you a question here. Well, first off, I think that your ideas are very good, and I think that it is probably something that a lot of game developers have looked at. But have you ever read one of the books that's called Choose Your Own Adventure?
No, sadly no.
They're a book that the first chapter is.
I think I know what the books are about, but okay,
Yeah,
explain.
yeah. So the first chapter, you read. Everybody reads that, and then you make a choice. And then if you choose one thing, it may tell you to go to page 30. If you choose another thing, it may tell you to go to page 50.
Yeah,
And it kind of branches out from there. Things happen. And it's exactly what you're talking about here, that the player starts out as kind of a blank slate. They're nothing. They're formed by their actions.
yeah,
And then, but here's what happens. If you had ever looked at one of these Choose Your Own Adventure books and you had read through it to the end of the story, you would find that you didn't read the majority of the pages. And that
yeah,
is because those were all different ways that you could have gone. And they do make a different story. So, like, if you want to read it again, you would maybe choose the other thing at first. And it would be a different story for you. Well, that's what you're talking about here, is that, you as a player, you make choices, and those choices affect who you become later in the game.
yeah,
And then they affect, who associates with you and stuff. And the games do this a lot already, but when you make, let's say, you've got just a single book, and you've got a single path, and then, but at some point, you have a choice. You then have two paths. They're both just as complex. You've doubled the
yeah,
work.
yeah,
You add in more choices, and next thing you know, you have something that is 1,000 times as much work as if you had taken them through just one story. So the problem is that the scale of building all of this so that it feels immersive around the player. And I know exactly what you're talking about, though, and I
yeah.
think that this is something that a lot of game developers really, really strive for. That exact feeling that you're talking about, because they know that players want it. So
Yeah.
you're right on target, but
It's
it's
hard to
it's
do
yeah, yeah. It's like building the tallest building in the world. You know,
twice.
Sure, you just have to add a few more levels, but the complexity gets so much harder when you go up so much higher.
Yeah,
And so that may be the stumbling block.
yeah,
So what's needed here is a way to easily create all of that content so that it can be incorporated in the different choices, and it's worth the money to take the time to do that for the game. So I'm not sure how to do that, though.
yeah. Me too. I was thinking about what you're trying now to tell me, and I think a lot of people in the world who do things like I do. For example, I write comics. I'm an amateur comic writer,
Okay.
and I think a lot of book writers or adventure book writers think about games like I do. Think about how to make them much more exciting, and that's why I asked this question, so you could be able to answer it to people. And I was thinking about how hard it is to make a game like that, but I came up with an idea how to make it step by step.
Okay.
It's easier to make I don't know if it's easier to make a game in episodes. For example, if it's an MMORPG, to make constantly add story expansions. The
Mm-hmm.
player would have quests, like side quests aside from the main story to do while he's waiting for the main story to expand. Uh, Two things come out of that. The player would be excited about every new episode. The company would have time to expand the story, expand the game, and the company would earn with that more with every episode again money
Mm.
for that game.
Mm-hmm. I know that
And
Star Trek Online does this.
yeah,
And yeah, they follow all of the episodes from the Star Trek TV series.
yeah,
And so each new episode, each new conflict, new battle, new encounter becomes a new quest in the game. And they release them. I don't remember how often they release them, but it seems to me it's very often.
Yeah.
And so it keeps a lot of new stuff going. It doesn't, though. However, it's still linear. It still takes you just in one direction. It doesn't allow you to go very far off, like what I think
Yep.
you were talking about at the beginning.
What I would like to be this game is to, with every episode, the player would have two choices, multiple choices. For example, let's say they have to defeat the players have to defeat together a villain, who is let's say a righteous villain. For example, if you know the anime Death Note, where the main character is killing bad people, or Dexter, you know, the TV
Yeah.
series Dexter, maybe.
It's horrible.
Somebody like Dexter. Many
Yeah.
people feel the same way, feel that he is doing right,
Oh
and many
goodness.
people feel that he is doing bad. And to make a villain like that, many people would join him in the battle, and many people wouldn't. So it would come to a war in the game. And when the villain is defeated, they would have again a choice. Would you like to save him? Something like in the events on Facebook. Yes, no, maybe. And then the players that have said yes would gain another quest. Go and pursue the gamers that said maybe to join you. And if they join, you get points. If they don't join, you get nothing. And such events to create such events for players to play together, and those who how to say that, to do that anonymous. For example, if 10 players go against 10 players in that arc, in that quest, to save that character, everybody would be anonymous. And you wouldn't know which player you are fighting against. And later on in the game, when in another quest you would meet that fighter, he would be on your side. Maybe talk about, yeah, I was on the other side that time. To create, I don't. What I wish is to create something for a game that gives a familiarity to players, that they feel home, that they feel that they're really doing something in that game universe.
You want the players to be the ones building the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, have you seen my video about Greedmonger?
I know.
Greedmonger is a game that they're calling a sandbox MMO.
Yeah.
And it comes out next year. Right now it's got a Kickstarter campaign where you can actually buy land. And so the whole landscape is just forest area. There's going to be a few castles already built, but everything else is just wild. And so you buy these plots of land, and then everybody starts out, and you have to build your houses yourself. You have to go out and forage for food. You have to go out and do all kinds of stuff, and nobody has a title. So
like an MMO strategy game.
yeah, but no one has a title. Like, you know, you're not a swordsman, you're not a warrior, you're not a wizard. You are just a person. And so you go and you have to start creating things. Like, you may have clothes on you, but when you go and fight creatures, that they're harming you, and so
Clothes.
so you may need to make armor, except nobody has the ability to make metal yet. And so, you know, we take skins off of animals and use that for armor and stuff, and we have to create our own weapons.
Something like in Skyrim.
Yeah. And so this is the game will be driven by the players as to where it advances to. And so it may become something, if the players want to have big epic wars against each other, they may do that. Or if they want to have, build nice, rich communities. Like, let's say they wanted to make it a farming game. You know,
Yeah.
they could build these big communities, and they could have marketplaces where people traded food so they could make different recipes and stuff like that. And they would maybe harvest seeds, and then the best seeds, they breed them with other good seeds to make new plants and everything. And so it really is taken by the community wherever the community wants to take it. And so they don't know. They have some things pre-planned for it, but they really don't know where the game is going to go. And
They don't have a story for that.
no, no,
No. Well,
yeah. And so
the only difference to my idea is that they don't have a story.
oh, yeah, well, they have just a very light story, and it's just like, how did you arrive at this place? But from there, it's like, have you ever seen some of the TV shows where they send people through space to a new planet for a new beginning, and they're
Yeah,
there with
yeah.
just a few supplies, and they make whatever they want of it and everything, and that's what we're about to do in this game. And not necessarily through space, but you know. And there's fantasy creatures in it too, like dragons and other stuff. So
monsters.
I think that sounds close to what you're talking about, and in a way that it's very player controlled, and it really allows us as the players to be what we want to be in the game. And I don't know if eventually we'll have titles in the game, like you say, when they get to level such and such that they get a title.
Yeah.
This one actually be like Ultima Online. I don't know if you ever played that. And
Sadly, no. I have a really, really slow PC.
in Ultima Online, they didn't have a type of player. You didn't select if you were a swordsman, a warrior, barbarian, or a wizard or anything. You just said to yourself, I want to practice the skills of magic. And eventually, you know, so you start out as a neophyte magician. And then you get all the way up to where you're a grandmaster mage. And so you trained whichever you wanted to be, and you could drop all of that skill if you wanted to and work on something else and become something else if you decided that I'm bored with this, it didn't work out, but I like my character otherwise. Just like people in real life, they sometimes, you know, get to a point, they say, you know, I've done this type of job for 20 years. I want to go do something completely different.
Yeah.
And so I think you're right on the target with what players need and want.
Yeah.
I don't know how to deliver it exactly as you've talked about it, but I think that, you know, just off the top of my head, the closest thing I'm hearing that I think is Greedmonger.
Greedmonger.
Yeah, Greedmonger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also the main reason for my question to you was to see if there is something like that, because I haven't played a lot of games. All about games I know is from shows on TV like Game One or your YouTube channel. Some games like Skyrim I have been watching through walkthroughs on YouTube, because I haven't been able to play it yet, and some of ideas like that came up through my mind. Something
Right.
like a story like that would give players that stamp that they feel special. I hope somebody will from your viewers will see this and say, okay, this is something I can build into a game that I'm working right now on, so that players in the world would enjoy it.
Right.
Honestly, I would be much happier to see that somebody makes something good out of this idea than to sell this idea and somebody would make something bad out of this. I never seen myself as a game writer or a game developer. As I said, I'm an amateur comic artist, and that's what I love. That's what I do. I try to make people happy with that, but I would really enjoy to see that somebody makes an idea out of that. And I think many people in the world think about games the same way I do, and I hope if they have similar questions, it will be answered through this video.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ennis. I appreciate your call.
Okay.
And
Thank you, Marcus.
yeah, very, very glad to have you here on the show. I think you have a fantastic
Yes.
idea. We'll see where it goes to from here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. So that was pretty interesting. I think that Ennis is on the right track, and that that he is. He's really got something really good there, and I really think that he is expressing what many of you may have already been thinking, and so you know. In the comments here in this video, why don't you express yourself and tell us whether or not you think it's a good idea. You know, something that's kind of a sandbox that allows you to go wherever you feel is right, and then when you end up there, then you're receiving a title and everything, kind of like the way Ultima Online was, the way that they've talked about a bit in Greedmonger, and that I hope that it is, and maybe for some future games that are yet unannounced, and that they have yet not broached this portion of their game yet, and so it's not developed here yet. And maybe they could take this idea and run with it. It's just a free idea. They don't have to give anybody credit. Just do it so we can all play it. So, Ennis, thank you again very much for the question. And take care, everybody.
You like that, don't you? You like that, don't you? See, my eyebrows are even black. Have my aunt put it on. Makeup. Yeah, it's not really dyed. The eyebrows aren't. Yeah, I like these. I was listening to dubstep before a lot of you were wearing diapers, alright? You like that, don't you?